Declined to 2.3% in 2020 from 2.37% in 2019 due to the COVID-19 pandemic. But the pandemic has also created new products that suit customer demands. Brenda Kerubo speaks to Jadiah Mwarania, the Managing Director of Kenya Re, on this week's Captains of Industry.
Kenya Re Insurance Corporation Limited, Kenya Re, is the oldest reinsurer in East and Central Africa. It was established through an Act of Parliament in December 1970 and commenced business in January 1971. Jadiah Mwarania is the Managing Director of Kenya Re. He has worked with the corporation for over 25 years and risen through the ranks to the position of Managing Director. Mwarania is a chartered insurer of the Insurance Institute of London, the highest and the most prestigious level of professional achievement with the Institute, and a Fellow of the Kenya Institute of Management. Thank you so much for speaking to Captains of Industry. We really appreciate your time and welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
When you look at the reinsurance industry, how exactly has it been, and are we recovering to pre-pandemic levels?
The industry has been affected quite a bit in various ways. If you look at the business side or the operational side of things, we have had a slowdown in terms of collecting premiums. There has been a bit of increase in claims in certain lines of business. There has been also the fact that certain claims which were not payable under policies needs to be accommodated in there, which has essentially means the claims cost have gone up a bit. On the investment side, we are seeing also a slowdown in the returns that you can earn from the investment, whether you're talking about bank deposits or talking about other vehicles of investment. Those who are landlords, like Kenya Re is, on the rental side of things, we've also seen where the market their market rates are going to go down. Things like escalation clauses in contracts and to be removed or at least frozen for the time being. So all this means a hit in the bottom line in terms of profitability. But we think that with time we are getting used to it now. We have found strategies to react to those negative impacts, and we believe things will start looking up again.
The pandemic has also created opportunities for other lines of business. What are some of these?
Pandemics have been excluded from insurance, like the COVID-19. But now that we know it is here and is here to stay, we cannot behave as if it will go away tomorrow. So products have to be adjusted. How do you accommodate it in there? And to me, it just means accept the coverage of the COVID, but price it properly, because everything must be priced, and that becomes an opportunity.
What do you think will drive business in 2022?
The growth in GDP matters, because that's a macro factor. The levels of competition will matter. The regulator and how he manages the industries will matter. But in terms of internal success of a company is what strategy you have and how you're going to implement it.
You've been in the insurance industry for 25 years. Why have you stayed for so long?
Like they say, if it's not broken, why fix it? I came into the industry, I've liked my career growth, and I've had no reason to exit.
So what do you look for when you're hiring?
No, you look at the profession, you look at the academic qualifications, you look at the professional qualifications, you look at the experience of the person, you look at the job fit, the experience of the person to the job fit and the job requirement of the company.
What's the one skill that you think you can not do without, that a person should have when you're hiring?
Professionalism. If you really don't know, if you're hiring for an underwriter, for example, there must be professional underwriters, trained maybe CIIs or ACIIs or fellows. So if you don't have the academic qualification and the professional qualification, I wouldn't understand how you'll do the job.
So what will the 2022 leader look like? What do they need to have? Because we still will be in a pandemic, and you need to navigate the pandemic environment.
The leader must see the environment how it is. It's very dynamic, the use of things like technology is extremely important. We are seeing things like cybercrime coming in to really disrupt business. We are seeing profit being eaten by things like I was mentioning, increased claims, increased operating costs. We are seeing impact of staff working away from home, which actually has a tendency of reducing the production, because we believe when in the office you probably produce more than when you're out there. So the leader of 2022 really needs to understand all these external dynamics and marry them nicely with the internal dynamics, clearly keeping the strategy in focus to be sure that at least you achieve, if not 100%, at least excess of 90% of what you set out to do.
2022 is also an election year. How is the insurance industry as a whole positioning itself in relation to this?
The main key difference with any other year could be the fact that economic activity will be disrupted, therefore GDP growth might be lower, which is going to impact the growth of the premiums. In terms of the products, there is political insurance, which came into this industry in 2007, and that's when it anchored itself after the post-election violence. And the expected cycle is that maybe at election times is when many businesses may think of getting this political risk. So one would expect maybe a little hike in the premiums coming from that. And that will depend a lot on how the businesses will assess the outcomes of the election.
And what's the best career advice that you've ever received?
Quite a bit, especially in the formative stages. I used to have lecturers. I used to go to, when I was becoming a professional, doing the CIA exams. I used to have lecturers at the College of Insurance, maybe especially one called Philip, and they were coaching us how to be a professional in the insurance industry. The best advice I would say is that at the very formative stages, they correctly identified that we need to ground ourselves into the profession. At that point in time, there were not many associates of the Chartered Insurance Institute of Kenya. Even now, there are not too many. But at that time, there were even a lot more fewer. So at least they were able to help us identify that you need to be professionally grounded for you to do your job competently and to grow in terms of your career.
And that's where we end it right here on Business Today. Many thanks for staying with us as we brought you the latest in the world of business, explaining to you what is happening in your economy, not just in Kenya, but also across borders. Stay safe, go get the vaccine if you haven't, and let's link up next week. I am Brian Jojotieno. Adios.